factually inaccurate.
Morally correct. This is Babylon Bee Radio. Our top story. In the tumultuous wake of Elon Musk taking over Twitter, many leftists on the platform are reporting a disturbing rise in the number of people they hate being allowed to use speech.
Ever since Elon took over, I see more and more people saying things that I don't like, and I hate them,
said BBC reporter and Twitter user James Clayton.
Just the other day, I saw an opinion I hated, voiced by a person I hated. I can't remember what it was, except that I really hated it. How is this allowed? Can't the government do something about this?
Several internet disinformation experts have concurred with the worries expressed by Clayton.
Hated people having a voice is dangerous to democracy and to marginalized voices like mine,
said Vice President Kamala Harris, briefly interrupting herself to laugh at inappropriate moments.
Imagine if everyone I hated was allowed to talk. That would be so many people talking.
Experts are recommending government officials rein in Twitter before more hated people get away with saying things freely. Former NCAA swimming champion and current women's rights activist Riley Gaines has been arrested and charged with forcing trans activists to physically assault her after giving a speech regarding protecting women's sports at San Francisco State University. University officials heralded the actions of the trans activists, calling for Gaines to be silenced, and the swift response by the campus police in dealing with her dangerous behavior.
We're so proud of our campus police for their bravery,
said a university spokesperson, Evergreen Stardust, they, them.
Not to mention the courageous actions of the brave people who assaulted Miss Gaines.
Amid the controversy surrounding the attack on Riley Gaines, a new report indicated a burly male trans activist shouted,
"I'm a victim!"
as he punched a woman squarely in the face.
"You people don't get it!"
shouted the muscular blue-haired man as he repeatedly struck the tiny woman in the jaw.
"Trans people have the right to expose their genitalia in locker rooms to anyone they want. Stop threatening us and be violent."
Gaines has drawn the ire of the trans activist community after speaking out against the inclusion of biological male athletes like Leah Thomas in competitions with females. Trans activists, conversely, are aggressively defending their totally sane and logical rights to bully and demoralize women by destroying them in their sports and requiring them to feel violated by sharing locker rooms with naked men.
If men who think they are women don't have the right to walk around naked in women's locker rooms, what rights do they have?
Shouted another muscular male activist as he kicked an unconscious woman in the ribs.
We must be protected and defended.
As the battered women were being hauled off to the hospital under police custody to receive treatment for their injuries before facing charges of committing dangerous crimes against the trans community, the trans activists who physically assaulted the protesting women were reportedly isolated by law enforcement to protect them from the general public. In brief remarks regarding the ongoing debate about biological male athletes identifying as females and competing in women's sports, President Joe Biden made sure to specifically thank former soccer star and controversial activist Megan Rapino for supporting inclusivity.
And Megan Rapino is such a handsome fella. Having that guy lend his support to the movement to eliminate women from women's sports, it means a lot. Not every man would care so much. Make sure Megan knows I really appreciate him. A good dude. Son of Robertson.
Rapino, a staunch supporter of LGBTQ+ causes and critic of the alleged, quote, patriarchy in society, is in favor of allowing men who call themselves women to compete against biological females in sports. President Biden, who is expected to pursue changes to Title IX to penalize discrimination against trans athletes, was confused after being notified by aides that Megan Rapino is reportedly a woman.
What? That muscular fellow with the chiseled features? Wow. I wonder if she's available. What a swell-looking dame.
At airtime, Biden had requested a meeting with Rapino to sniff her hair to find out if she is actually a woman. Prominent figures in the trans movement are now using their voice to tell the whole world that despite being featured on countless billboards, magazines, and movies, and being praised by every celebrity, multi-billion-dollar corporation, and millions of leftists, that they are actually marginalized.
I've been oppressed, marginalized, and ignored my entire life for who I am. I'm tired of it,
said trans woman Ashley Blake while accepting an award for bravery and standing on a pedestal in front of a massive audience on national television.
I'm without a doubt the most forgotten, persecuted, and mistreated person on the planet. But if you make fun of me or don't use the right pronouns, the government will come and take your kids away and put you in jail.
According to sources, Ashley was met with thunderous applause, 5 standing ovations, and dozens of people fainting from how stunning and brave Ashley's speech was. Afterwards, hundreds of roses were thrown at his feet while countless paparazzi snapped photos begging for an interview, and a statue was commissioned in Ashley's honor. Ashley Blake later had to step away from speaking about how marginalized and oppressed he was after getting a phone call from Nike, Bud Light, and the White House about how they all wanted to work with him. The Department of Defense is taking unprecedented steps to secure the Pentagon after a massive intel leak put lives in danger around the world. According to sources, officials are hoping they've seen the last of damaging security breaches thanks to their brand new Ring doorbell.
Ring doorbells represent the pinnacle of security and surveillance technology. It's a video camera, a microphone, and a doorbell, all rolled up into one sleek and stylish package. What's not to love? Try getting past our new Ring, you filthy document-stealing crooks.
Sources say the Ring doorbell was chosen after a 2-year, multi-million-dollar search for security equipment and intense negotiations with the manufacturer. The government ended up acquiring a single $64 Ring doorbell for only $38 billion.
We're hoping to secure a cheaper price to equip our government buildings with the same amazing technology. Once every building has one of these babies, we'll never have to worry about a leak again.
The unprecedented leak of top-secret U.S. intelligence on the war in Ukraine, military assets, and vital diversity training materials has now been traced to a shocking source, an email chain in which President Biden clicked Reply All.
This email chain included CCP officials, Russian oligarchs, North Korean party members, and other world leaders,
said a spokesperson from the Pentagon.
They normally use it to share funny memes with each other, but at some point, Biden had found thousands of classified files on his son's laptop and accidentally attached them in a reply to the entire email chain. Could have happened to anyone. Really?
Sources say that after the president realized what he had done, he desperately sent another email begging everyone to not read the contents, but it was too late.
Come on, man.
Biden has assured the country that the leak was not that damaging, as his son Hunter already sold most of the documents to the CCP years ago. Outraged Senate Democrats are calling for the investigation of a local black man who allegedly went on vacation without their permission.
I say, ain't no black man gonna take no vacation on our watch unless he asks us first,
said Senator Dick Foghorn Durbin while chewing a sprig of wheat and gripping the lapels on his frock coat.
This young man has gotten a bit too uppity for his own good, yes sirree.
Nancy Pelosi joined the growing chorus of Democrats demanding answers for whoever let the black man have time off when there was probably lots of work to be done around Washington, D.C.
Someone needs to teach that black man a lesson.
Pelosi struggled to speak as she hadn't found her teeth yet.
Who let him go play anyway?
Sources say the man's vacation included hours of unsanctioned reading, sunbathing, and beach volleyball playing, which Democrats are condemning as, quote, most inappropriate and highly irregular.
How dare you!
At airtime, Democrat leaders dispatched several overseers to fetch the black man and bring him in for questioning. After years of frustration at her husband's inability to pay attention to the brief 3-hour conversation she forced him into, local wife Florence Burf implemented a brilliant new tactic to trick him into listening by starting with, quote, welcome to my podcast.
In this episode, we'll be talking about Winston Churchill and how his leadership paved the way for how I was talking to Kareen the other day about the Hendersons not being seen in church all month.
Florence's husband sat upright and appeared to be listening attentively for the first time ever.
Churchill's love of cigars is one of history's top worries that the Hendersons might be struggling spiritually, which is what I told Kareen, and she thinks it's because she heard one of the kids mention the parents watching Game of Thrones, which kind of makes sense.
Mrs. Burf was able to talk long into the afternoon about everything on her mind, relishing her husband's thoughtful nods and rapt attention. Whenever she noticed his mind wandering, she simply changed the podcast to other subjects, such as sports, Lord of the Rings, or famous submarine disasters. At airtime, Mr. Burf had finally taught his wife to restart the computer on her own by simply becoming an influencer, garnering millions of followers, and recording a video set to music that repeated the same instructions he'd given her countless times in the past. B-Radio features officially curated content from the Babylon Bee, scripted, voiced, and produced by Austin Robertson. Additional voices in this episode from Bettina, Jared, Kirsty, and Travis. Don't miss an episode. Subscribe to B-Radio on YouTube, Spotify, iHeart, or wherever you get your podcasts.